Yo, brethren. Cheers for tuning in on this nice winter's day we've got. We're at this really cool tree plantation here. I love this spot, it's pretty scenic. Although I can hear people in the distance. But anyway, I thought I'd come out today and tell a wee story about a whitey, which is a fucking bit of a random subject, but some of you may know it. It's the strange thing that can happen where you smoke too much weed and then you end up throwing up and feeling not too great. Yeah, this has happened to me before, believe it or not. Quite rare, but back in the day it happened a bit more, and it was just from going too crazy. But yeah, this is going to be a story about the hardest time I ever whiteyed, which was a pretty crazy experience. It was almost like a trip in a way, but it was a shit experience. And it's just interesting because you can never OD on weed, like you can smoke as much of it as you want and never die. But sometimes it just hits you wrong and you can throw up. And this isn't even relating to drinking, having too much to drink and then smoking, because that is a guaranteed way of throwing up while smoking. One time I was at a party, I drank a whole bottle of red wine. I was feeling pretty good, really good actually, and then had a walk over to a graveyard near the party that had a bench in it, a weird place, but I thought I'd pull out a joint and have a little smoke. And yeah, I was so drunk, I took one toke of the joint and instantly the whole world seemed to turn upside down. My head got really heavy. I retched up and threw up and then ended up passing out in a graveyard for probably about an hour. So that was a mad experience and not one that I enjoy. Joint keeps fucking going out, which is annoying. But yeah, I thought I'd just tell this story about the whitey because it's quite weird. I was at my mate's house. We were sitting in his conservatory and we had a Skyrim on the TV playing, I think, or we had just the TV set up. We were watching some TV. And my mate's brother had this big bong that had a bowl that was like that big, and you could stuff like 2 grams in this bong. So that's what we did. We stuffed it completely full and then just passed it between us, taking one little rip at a time. And in the end I must have taken about 15 or 20 bong rips, and all I can say is it kind of fucked me up a little bit. My mate was fine. He stuck on some show and was laughing at it, and I was like in no state to even pay attention to the TV. My head got really heavy again and I just like was having to focus on not throwing up. It was pretty fucking bad. I was having I couldn't keep my eyes open, and I was having all these audio hallucinations, you could say, where I could hear the Skyrim theme tune just singing really loudly in my head. And at that point I should have either stood up and gone outside, got some fresh air, or run to the bathroom or something, but instead I tried to ride it out, which is a bad idea with whiteys. There is some technique I've heard before where you can drink some water or do something and the whitey just goes away, but this time it just built and then I ended up basically throwing up in my mate's conservatory halfway between the door and the outside and inside, kind of spewed up outside the door, got all over the door. I know this is horrible for some, hopefully you're not eating. And mate, it was a pretty bad sight, I think. I let myself down. I then passed out and I think my mate actually fucking had the horrible task of having to clean that shit up. I was just like, nah, I'm too baked. This sounds really bad, but this is how it happened. And sometimes when you whitey, you're fucked, you know? And he was really decent about it. He helped me out and played some calming music, and yeah, it felt a bit better, but it was a horrible experience, and I don't think I ever lived it down. But yeah, this is just a quick story. It's something that's been in my head. The reason I've been thinking about this story is because I actually whiteyed the other day, recently, last week. I had my mate Jack round that you see in the videos, and I was just drinking beers and then smoking spliffs with tobacco in it. And we'd just ordered a Domino's and it had just come, and I'd had 1 or 2 pieces of garlic bread. This is weird. And then my mate was like, let's just smoke this spliff before we have the rest of the pizza. So I was like, yeah, fine. I was taking on this spliff, and then just the whitey came over me. I don't know whether it was, I think it was something to do with the tobacco and the spliff, and also like the mix of the beers and the pizza, the amount of fucking gluten and stuff just destroyed me. But yeah, I ended up having to pass out again. I felt really sick and just passed out, threw up again. My mate who'd come up and seen me ended up having to just chill there on his own while I passed out for about 3 hours. It was pretty fucking depressing. And it just reminded me, like, shit, this shit can happen to you, even if you're an experienced stoner, like I would like to call myself. So yeah, let me know if it's happened to you recently or in the past. What's the worst time you've ever had smoking weed? I'm sure there's a few funny stories out there. But yeah, I wanted to just tell more stories on the channel, just so something for you guys to listen to and think about. And my idea is, hopefully, if I can get friends along for the ride, smoke a joint with me and tell their side of the story, because all of my stories normally involve my mates. It would be fun to have my mate tell me how much of a cunt I was at night when I whited in his house, but he's up north, sadly, so, but that would be an idea for the future, just have a mate and tell a dual story together, and maybe one day turn it into a longer podcast type scenario where I just have a mate and we just have a long form conversation, maybe out in the woods with the birds chirping, and just reminisce about the past and talk about the future. So they're my plans. Just got a load of bud come through the roach. Yeah, crazy times in the whitey. Yeah, it's been. But apart from that, I've had no bad shit. But yeah, anyway, weird topic of discussion. Hope you've enjoyed this chilled woodland smoke sesh, and you've enjoyed the story, even though it was a pretty shit story, but fuck it. And yeah, thanks for watching. Drop that like and a comment. Let me know where you're from, and when was the last time you whiteyed, and if you ever have, or if you have a mate that always whiteyed and used to take the piss out of him or her. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode, and I hope you enjoyed this different kind of episode. And now it's time to walk into the distance.